Hey everybody, welcome back to Slow Your Roll. Today's video is going to be about us just complaining. No, not really, but kind of a little bit. We're going to go over some of like the top things that we have encountered that we kind of just don't really like about D&D. And then also most of them will include our ideas for fixes for those things too.
Yeah. If you don't got solutions, just shut up.
Yeah, exactly. So so we're going to try not to just complain. We're going to present a problem and be like, this is kind of what we mean. Maybe you could fix it like this, But yeah, we've got 5 good ones for you today that we'll just kind of go through.
Nice.
Okay, so the first one isn't really about the game as much as it is about, how do I want to say this? I guess the community. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Give me a second. Okay, you'll see what I'm saying though. So D&D isn't fun because of the rules, in my opinion. Like, I made a short about this too. Like, I don't play D&D because I love the rules of the game. Like, I don't care that, like, I don't love that a barbarian takes less damage when they're raging. It's just kind of like a mechanic. It's like, sure, that makes sense, whatever. I don't love that, like, every player typically has like 20 to 30 movement speed in feet. It's just kind of like, sure, that is the rules of the game, whatever. But that's not why I play the game. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not like, wow, I love that people have 30 feet of movement. I can't wait to play because of that. But there are people that will just like crawl up on this hill of D&D 5e's rules and just die on it. When it's like, really? I don't know, like they're just rules. Like they were just put in place to build some sort of structure out of the chaos of endless possibilities. But realistically, the goal when the game was made was to have endless possibilities. So sometimes you got to be ready to just throw away the rules. And
True. I mean, think about the rules lawyers, like 99% of them don't even have a law degree. So what are they talking about?
So anyway, this is one thing that we've all kind of touched on, I feel like, recently in the community with the whole OGL thing.
Yeah.
A lot more people are willing to look at other systems maybe and support something that isn't from Wizards of the Coast, which, fair enough. It's hard to blame them.
True. Yeah, that could just really go into like the spirit of the game. You know what I mean? Like, I like the spirit of D&D's game, and I'm pretty sure I would kind of like it more or less in just about any TTRPG as long as you got that same feeling around the table. Different kinds of things that like you might be able to describe as like the spirit of the game is like when you feel good or everyone's laughing or everyone's having fun, but like things that are against the spirit of the game are kind of where it's like, the feels bad, man, because like technically you can't do this or that and the other thing, but it's like a person could do that.
Right, exactly.
Sometimes it's real weird.
Yeah, sometimes the words just become barriers on your heart, But anyway, realistically, like the original Dungeons and Dragons looks nothing like 5th edition. Like it looks completely different. So I mean, you can't even say that like 5e is really like what Dungeons and Dragons is. It's just like what it's evolved and kept the name to be, like it's whatever. You could say just as much like the spirit of D&D lies within Pathfinder just as much as it does 5e. It lies within even like Warhammer to some degree just as much as it does in 5e.
Right. Any of the 1st edition clones out there?
Yeah, for sure. And there's tons of game systems that are out there that are really awesome that realistically you and your players might like the rules to more. Like you might like the way that the systems are built up. I just think it's worth trying,
So really what you should take away from this is the spirit of the game is most important, not the rules. Don't get bogged down. Just have fun.
Yes, 100%.
But if we were going to be talking about the second thing that I think D&D could do a little bit better is you can't instantly kill people. And man, whoa, sadist. But what I mean is like there's several times where I would naturally be able to actually end a combat encounter because of specific scenarios. Like I push somebody off a cliff, or like I tackle them off the cliff and misty step back on, or things where it's like he's sleeping and I slit his throat, or different kinds of things. Like a different player at my table can create water and I can freeze it. What if we did that around their head? You could start maybe an lethal dice for describing these lethal actions or having some sort of synergy between players. Or maybe it could just outright start death saving throws. If I say I shoved my bomb in his mouth, it could be something simple, but at the same time, most people aren't gonna survive a bomb in the mouth.
Right. I do like the idea of like a dice mechanic. Like maybe if there is some sort of like the bomb situation, like as soon as that happens and they can't get it out, maybe immediately they start like a saving throw die, regardless of what their hit points are. You know, like that'd be crazy. And then by the time that's done, it's just like they're gone.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many hit points they have. Yeah, there's plenty of times where if my players would be in the woods or something and they're stealthily approaching someone and the ranger, you know, takes out an arrow and, you know, shoots someone in the face, like I'm not gonna be like, wow, you shot him right in the face, it was awesome. He has 2 hit points left though, so I'll be like, no, you got him, you did it.
Right.
It kind of goes back to the rules thing.
And at the same time, you might be able to think of like, oh, well, I don't want my players to be able to instantly kill other people in the game. But like, really, is it that unbalanced? You could add 2 or 3 more people to an encounter. You could possibly just end that specific encounter because like, what was one more round of beating that punching bag gonna do? Just simple things like that could make it seem like it's not an overpowered mechanic to be able to incorporate, because like you're not going to be able to kill move every single NPC you find, but those special occasions will be so sweet.
And realistically, like coming from the DM standpoint, if you're building a BBG or a monster, they're gonna feel a lot more special as like a special NPC or villain if the players can't, you know, treat them the same that they would other NPCs. Like, you can build a monster that has reactions built in to defend themselves from assassination attempts. Yeah, then they feel even more special.
Legendary actions.
Exactly. So you can build the game to fit this type of narrative and make the players feel awesome because they're going to remember the times that they were able to drop down from like the turret as they're entering this facility or something and just immediately take someone down.
Right.
That's awesome. They're going to remember that, and they won't remember being like, oh, you hit him, but he's not dead.
And realistically, though, like you got your barbarian, and it's like, I can carry 500 pounds. He's gonna kick somebody's head off like a football. I'm sorry, that's just gonna happen.
Number 3 is D&D's action economy. I know a lot of people kind of like the way that the action economy is set up for 5e, and realistically, I kind of do too. But there's plenty of times I've run into issues with it. I don't really love that the action types are like divided up the way they are, and like I get it. It's a rule system. It makes sense. I don't really like that there's actions, bonus actions, and reactions, because some of the things that you might do to take the place of these areas end up unbalancing other aspects action economy. So like with there only being actions, a lot of times you have to stack a bunch of monsters against your players so that just to like balance out how many attacks are being sent out per side and things like that. Or another example is with counterspell. If there's an enemy that's casting some sort of spell, as a reaction, a player can use counterspell and completely negate the enemy's action, and then that player still has their full action to do stuff with. It's like that's not really a balanced trade-off necessarily.
Like, don't get me wrong, counterspell as a concept is cool,
Super cool,
but like let's not get it mixed up. Like, an action is not equal to a reaction or even a bonus action. You know what I mean?
True.
You had to think about your action and physically do it in place, but your reaction is like, you know.
Exactly. At least thematically, you know, whatever. Narratively is one thing, but thematically, that's kind of how like it was built. It's supposed to look like that. So another thing with the action economy the way it is, so you might have a whole table where a bunch of players optimize their character to be able to do stuff with their action, their bonus action, and reactions. And if that happens, a lot of times it might even leave players that don't want to do that with like an unoptimized character, and that doesn't feel good.
Or some people might just not know how to do that.
Exactly.
There are a lot of classes that don't even offer a reaction at all. You have to like steal a feat or a item just to get it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's not me saying that like every character needs to be optimized. I'm just saying like it can be a weird thing that happens with character creation if you don't pick stuff to use as bonus actions and reactions and everything else. So it would be sweet, I think, if there was a system that handled it in a way that's like everything is equal. Like all the reactions, bonus actions, actions are all just like one pool of things. Kind of like the action point systems. I know Pathfinder used an action point system. It's kind of like that, but they still have 1 point set aside for reaction specifically.
There are improvements that could totally be made for the action economy system, and I do kind of feel like we've gotten a couple of glimpses into something that might be a little bit easier to use, And should we end up getting the alpha rules sometimes, I cannot wait to get into DC20 RPG with you guys.
Yes, DC20 RPG. We'll be putting out more videos about stuff like that too, because that system looks very exciting to me. So
Definitely.
I'm geeking out about it. And in case it needs to be said, DC20 RPG has an action point system where everything's balanced. And it seems pretty awesome, so we'll tell you how it goes.
But while we were talking about action economy and kind of the fact that it needed to be simplified in a way, or at least streamlined,
Sure.
so does the magic complexity. I think a lot of our spells need to be more inherent to recognize what it does instead of, oh, let me read this paragraph almost every single time I gotta use the spell. Like a line spell, everyone should understand that a line spell has the specific amount of range that it has. A cone spell should just have the specific amount of cone range that it has. Same with AoE or even just line of sight. Those things shouldn't be questioned at all unless I've specifically taken something to make that better. Like everyone knows what fireball is, but nobody knows what firebolt is. And it would just make sense that they're on the same scale and level to have the same amount of AoE, or since it's a line spell with other line spells.
Yeah, so to be more like specific about that, first off, don't come at us in the comments. Like, we know that the magic system in D&D is actually somewhat simple compared to a lot of other systems, but it's still got like its issues and complexities. And so like what you're saying, what maybe it could look like is if instead of getting 5 different fire elemental spells in your repertoire, like what if you could just have like pyromancy as a spell, and then you upcast it with spell slots or other resources to do other things. Maybe it's just firebolt until you're like, I want to make it an AoE. I want to hit 3 people with it. It's like, okay, let's bump it up 2 spell slots then.
Ooh.
Like some sort of template like that. Now your firebolt is the fireball spell, and you only have to know the same template that you can apply to other spells of like making it an AoE or something like
really
that.
Cool. So you're a fire caster, but you have firebolt, fire line, fire cone, fire ball.
Yeah.
All of those things. Or I actually really like that. Being able to pick the type that it is, and then being able to upcast it to the efficacy or efficiency.
Mm-hmm. Those are both words.
Yeah, I think both of those work, but being able to upcast it to the proper one that you want, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. And like you could spend a certain amount to like maybe leave a lingering effect, like a burn status effect now or something like that too.
Nice.
But yeah, and these could be like templates that can be consistent for all of your spells potentially too.
Right. Getting a lightning based person, and now it's not a burn, it's a stun.
Yeah, exactly. So may have hinted at it before, right? But from what it sounds like, there's a lot of stuff in DC20 RPG again that is actually going to kind of try to tackle that system the way similarly to how we're describing it too. Well, we'll see how it goes. I have no idea about that. Regardless, I think it would be cool if the spells were somehow easier like this in D&D also.
Yeah, just streamlining the complexity of magic would be great. Even if it was as simple as saying like, oh, I'm a pyromancer, and now I have 2 permanent fire spells, and I can't get rid of those, but like, I'm a pyromancer wizard, right? So I have to pick throughout the wizard spells, and it's just flavor other than my fire.
For sure. So we got excited and skipped straight to the solution, but one of the other issues that actually is presented with the whole magic complexity thing is, truthfully, a lot of inexperienced players or newer players are going to be like intimidated by playing a caster. Yep. So a lot of new players either aren't going to pick a caster just because of that, or they're going to pick a caster and have no idea what they're doing and be like, well, there's so much to look at and everything else. And so a lot of times it just makes experienced players play casters more often. There's like a little bit of a thing that happens there.
No, definitely. And to be 100% honest, when somebody is stuck staring at their spells going, for like 5 minutes, that is a little bit their fault, but that's kind of a game mechanic fault too. We can't like look at one side of the coin and not the other here.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, don't come at us. We know there's more complicated systems, and I know there's people already like they already hit enter on the comments, and they're just
Of
like,
course.
"You guys are stupid. It's not that hard." It's like,
It's
all right.
okay. You can come at me.
Yeah. Yeah, just address all your comments to Alex. All right, number 5 about things that we don't necessarily like about D&D is actually kind of a system agnostic thing. Like, this could be applied to a lot of tabletop games, but unattentiveness. And a lot of this is going to be kind of specifically towards combat. So player unattentiveness, or if you've got a terrible DM, then I guess even DM unattentiveness to combat. So you'll see this a lot more often in the very like specific like turn-based combat systems, which are a lot of them. I would even say most of them are like a turn-based system. But it kind of naturally happens where some player might be addicted to their phone or whatever, right? And so if it's not their turn, they kind of don't really need to pay attention, or at least they'll naturally think that or feel that way. Be like, okay, I did my turn. I did all my stuff. All right, that's it. Now I just gotta wait, And that's kind of natural. That can happen even on accident to kind of tune out at that point. I've definitely done it on accident, just been like, oh, I'm not paying attention, Like, it happens.
Yeah, I can honestly say, like, more than once, I've been like, oh, crap, it's my turn. I've just been listening to his turn attentively, but I haven't thought of a single thing for me.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of you probably do use D&D Beyond on your phone, which makes it just so easy to hit the bubble for Messenger, the Candy Crush, or whatever you need to hit over there because it's literally an inch away. But, maybe it could just be a little bit easier to have it on like a lock mode where you don't really go off of D&D Beyond, or just set it down. Stuff like that. But it is your direct distraction, and you might want to know that you may look like you're buried in your phone, even if you are just reading your spell for the 5th time.
That's true. There's definitely been times that I've been DMing a game and I'm kind of like looking around at the table and someone's on their phone, and I can't help but think to myself, like, why would you be on your phone right now? We're all trying to play the game. But realistically, they're actually just reading about the new thing they just got when they leveled up, and then I'm a turd, It's like, dang it. So like, I get it. It's actually super easy to just do stuff on your phone and look distracted, even if you aren't, or whatever else. I don't know, it's a whole thing. But like I said, that's not specific to D&D, but kind of the callback to maybe like the action economy thing. In the turn-based combat system, if there were a way that you could do more outside of your turn, I feel like that could keep people involved much more heavily. Yeah. So like, and I think there's actually some things in D&D like this. So if there's like the protection fighting style, like if you shield and a friend next to you is being attacked or something, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage, which is awesome and like a lot more dynamic. And then they are, kind of have a reason to stay focused outside of their turn too, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it could just be right down to synergy. There's not a lot of things where it's like, Ekmos, I need you to do this for me. It's like, I'm gonna do this, and this. Your turn, sir.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I've looked at so many different homebrew rules for the help action, just so that people are like encouraged to do synergy related things or like set up combos and stuff.
Unfortunately, in D&D, it is usually more beneficial for you to do something for yourself than for you to do something for others, which sometimes isn't the coolest, or at least doesn't feel the coolest.
That's true. And I know there's already people that already hit enter on the comment possibly, that are like, to Alex, that are like, you just got to play the game like that. And it's like, that's true, but realistically, the way that the rules are set up just kind of like doesn't necessarily support that. Like, you don't have to play the game like that and it'll be fine. You might even do your best technically if you don't play in a supportive way, which, it is what it is. That's just kind of like how the rules are built.
And there are a lot of things where you don't really think to yourself like, I don't like that, or I haven't been in that situation before, until you are literally in that situation. It's like, that could feel better, couldn't it?
Yeah, then they're like, wow, now I know exactly what the boys at Slow Your Roll were talking about. Let us know if that's you.
But that's just a couple of our random gripes about Dungeons and Dragons, or just TTRPGs in general. If you guys have any of those random gripes that you've noticed at your table, leave them down in the comments. And if you have a way to fix it, I would love to hear it as well.
Yes, we will graciously accept your complaints about the game, but maybe even more graciously accept your homebrew fixes for those situations, because I mean, that helps.
But if we do get enough comment calls for like things that you guys don't like about the game, then maybe we can make a part 2.
Yes. Everyone loves complaining. You know, we're for it. No, I'm just kidding.
But thanks so much for watching, guys. If you did like it, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.